Around the turn of the last century, a song came out that was quite sappy, frankly. It was overly sentimental, although it included a lot of, I think, useful advice in terms of how to approach life. It was called I Hope You'll Dance. Uh, and there was one line in it in particular that I think is relevant to today's discussion, and that is, promise me that you'll give faith a chance. Now, I know talking about faith or religion or any spiritual matters is risky, but I'm taking the risk because I think that there's a chance here for us to understand each other better about something that I don't intend ever to try to drive down someone's throat, but simply invite them to think about all of what's important in their life and how faith and spirituality might tie into that. Let's start with some negatives about rejecting the whole idea. And I think a lot of it is based on impatience. If I can't understand it, it must not be real. And honestly, there's some appeal to an argument like that because we live in a society where there's been a lot of advances, and there continues to be many where we are making really nothing short of technological breakthroughs across the spectrum. We're pretty smart as people, and we're beginning to explain more and more aspects of nature, as well as all the other aspects of science, both mechanical, chemical, and beyond. There's also a sense, I think, of bitterness. For those of us who have been hurt profoundly at times in our life, it doesn't make sense that there can be any kind of benevolence out there that's not something that we have direct control over or other people do. How, in fact, can a God exist when there is so much heartache in the world? I've been hurt too many times to take any of this seriously. It simply cannot be real. There's a self-centeredness too, the idea that if I don't get it, no one else should either. And this is maybe a particularly harmful one because it tends to reflect negatively in our attitudes towards others, whether we're blatant about it or more subtle. We may be guilty of belittling their beliefs simply because we're above all of that. It simply can't be accepted. It's nonsense. It's mythology, it's fairy tale stuff, and I'm smarter to know all that, and you're not. So we got to be careful, I think, in how we relate to others who do tend to take their beliefs more seriously. And then there's, related to that, just an outright arrogance. Again, I'm too smart for such nonsense, and even really taking the spectrum to the opposite end, a fear that if I don't have control, and, by really embracing faith, we're admitting we don't have control over many aspects of our life. There's many things we can't understand. And if I can't really accept that, that's a sign of profound weakness and it frightens me. And so, out of fear and all these other things, I must reject the notion of faith. Well, what about some good reasons for going along with it? One is really an antidote to what I just said, and that is relief. I am not in this alone. I have others to share my burden with. Most tangibly, that's going to be others of faith as well, who may understand that God, however they perceive God to be, works through human beings to advance the mission of good. So I'm not in it alone. And if I'm willing to admit that and accept that, there's a huge burden lifted from my shoulders. Many of us struggle for purpose in our lives. What am I here for? Maybe you feel defeated, or that you haven't accomplished much, or that life is getting by so quickly that our time is almost up. And all of those things may or may not be true, but the point is that faith gives us purpose in our lives. And most tangibly, again, we are positioned best to carry out the ideals that a faith life can provide us. Humility is another good reason. It's a good antidote to arrogance. Some of us are smarter than others. Some of us have more skills and other abilities that give us advantages over other people. But all of us also have profound limitations, whether we admit those or not. Faith induces in us a sense of humility that helps keep us on not only an even keel, but keeps our heads from getting too big. There's hope, something to look forward to. I think this is particularly useful when we're facing adversity, maybe even a threat to our own health. If that happens to us, where we begin to see that maybe our lives are going to be shorter than we might otherwise have thought they were going to be, the hope provided by a strong faith helps us to cope with that and get by, and also something very real to look forward to if our belief is in fact sincere. And the last point I'll make has to do with mentorship. We learn from others, persons of faith. We also learn, by the way, from people who don't have any. We can see right through oftentimes what's driving their either their arrogance or their mocking behavior, if that's what they're choosing to use, whatever it might be. It's pretty transparent, and finally, and it reflects on them. But the better learning is really on the positive side. For those whose faith has sustained them, that can help to sustain us as well as also to meet whatever obligations our particular faith tradition might offer us to really profoundly demonstrate that faith. So, mentorship is a matter of developing and demonstrating respect. It's a matter of teaching, and it's a matter of learning. It really brings people closer together, which also, I think, epitomizes the ideals of Christian tradition and many others as well. Think about that and give faith a chance.